Hi you guys, it's Luke and I, and welcome back. Today we're standing at Shoshone Falls in Idaho. They call it the Niagara of the West, and when you see it in person, you understand why these falls are taller than Niagara. They stretch almost 1,000 feet across. And the sound, the roar, the mist in the air, it fills your chest. It moves your spirit and it makes you stop and remember just how powerful God is. And as I stand here, Luke, I can't help but think of what Jesus said in John 7:38. Whoever believes in me, as scripture has said, rivers of living water will flow from within them. Get it? Rivers, not a trickle, not a drip. Rivers flow, overflow. That's what these falls remind me of. When I look at them in full force, there's no stopping it. The water doesn't ask permission, doesn't apologize, it just pours. And that's the way the life of God is supposed to pour through you and me. But here's the truth. These falls don't always look overflowing. Sometimes the water is lower because it's diverted upstream. The roar is quiet. Sometimes it's a flood. Sometimes it's just a few streams. And isn't that how our lives feel? I remember seasons when my life looked dry. Times when I was in survival mode. When I was just living through it. When I didn't know how I would make it to the next day. Right? I looked around and thought, God, where are you? Why does it feel like my flow has been shut off? Right? Keep saying right. But what I didn't know then is what I know now. The river never dries up. Even when you don't see it on the surface, it's still moving underground. It's gathering strength. It's finding its way forward. And that's what God is doing in me. Isaiah 43:19 says, see, I am doing a new thing now. It's sprung up. You don't perceive it. You do not perceive it. I am making a way in the wilderness and streams and wastelands. Standing here in the Idaho desert, looking at this massive waterfall pouring into a dry canyon. I know that's true, God. God makes streams in the wasteland. He makes rivers in the desert. He makes waterfalls in the middle of what looks like nothing. And when I was in one of those dry seasons, I didn't realize God was preparing me for overflow. He was teaching me that His presence doesn't depend on how things look. He was carving something deeper in me. Look at these canyons. Look at the canyon walls. They weren't shaped overnight. They were carved by pressure, by floods, by storms. What looked destructive, actually it was creative. And that's what God does within us. The heartbreaks, the losses, the struggles, the night you thought you couldn't make it to the next day. Those weren't just pain. They were carving. They were shaping you into a masterpiece. A life people would one day look at and say, how did she survive that? How did she come out shining bright? I used to think my story was pain. But now I know my story is my waterfall. It's my testimony. It's the flow that pours out to women all over the world who need to hear it. You're not broken. You're just being shaped. You're not You're not empty. You are still flowing. You're not forgotten. You are the canyon where God is doing his most beautiful work. See, Psalms 46:4 says, there is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. That river's inside of you. You are the place where the Most High dwells. And when you believe it, when you live it, when you stop damming it up with fear and doubts, that river makes your life glad again. See, Neville Goddard said, your imagination is the river of life. What you dare to assume, what you see on the inside, is what flows out into your world. And it's true. Just like the source of this waterfall. It's far upstream where I can't see it. The source of your overflow is in your imagination. It's in your faith. It's in what you dare to believe. See, Emmett Fox said, God is omnipresent. That means he's in the roar of the water. He's in the quiet mist. He's in the canyon walls. He's even in the dry season when nothing looks like it's moving. He never leaves. And Florence Scovel-Shinn said, your world is your wand, even in the driest times. You have the power to call the water back. When you speak faith instead of fear, when you declare abundance instead of lack, you're opening the gates. You are calling the river to overflow again. And let me tell you about my own life. When I finally believed this, when I put on the armor and shifted from survival to awareness, the flow came back. My ministry started. Butterfly and the Dragon was born. Love and Light Ministry began to grow, and people began to see the overflow in me. Not because I was special, right? But because I tapped into what was already there. See, John 10:10 says, I came that they may have life and have it abundantly.